Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Upside Swings NBA Draft Podcast, the podcast, the high ceiling. I'm going to speed through this intro because Coop and I have already been here for 2 hours, and we still got a solid chunk left to do. But thank you all for joining. I would ask Coop how he's doing, but I know he's doing well. But he's also probably tired of hearing my voice already. But we're here to talk about a couple of shooters who are moderately interesting, I would say. Varying levels of intrigue. This is such a tough archetype because in the modern NBA, like these kind of definitely not small forward size, like shooting off guards are just rare. Because even like a Duncan Robinson is 6'7", like is the size of someone bigger. These guys are all much more in the camp of like, you could say like maybe a Desmond Bain size, but even he is at least listed at 6'6". They're all small. Like even just going through it, like Grayson Allen is maybe the best size comp for like all three of these guys, basically. Saunders is a little bigger, but there's not a lot of guys, at least at the top end of this position, that like are this size and built like these guys in a general sense. And so it is sort of an archetype that's going out of fashion, but on the flip side of that, as teams go more and more, hey, we need bigs that really dominate the glass. They're going to need wings and guards that can space more and more and more. And so I do think that there's still going to be pathways for these guys and still an important archetype to hit on when someone is just good enough. If you go back and listen to the last pod, something we said at the end is, we're kind of at a point where it's kind of just identifying who's like just actually good enough lots of times. Like I think sometimes we get so caught up in archetype or this or that. And it's like, actually what it's about is, are you good enough at basketball? Or in the famous words of that one tweet, are you a bitch or not? There's definitely a little bit of that in modern basketball evaluation. So let's start with someone who I had no expectations for. Like when I heard that this guy was staying in the draft, I was completely taken aback because I watched Arkansas plenty. I mean, I probably watched, 11 games when I was doing the A-Cup scout. And like, I legitimately like barely noticed him. And that's Meleek Thomas. Meleek, 6'3" without shoes, 8'4" standing reach, 6'6" and 3/4 wingspan. He's super skinny. He's kind of more like point guard sized almost. So the wingspan is okay, like 6'4". He'd be a big point guard. But he's kind of closer to point guard size than off guard size in a lot of ways, especially if you factor in the general skinniness. I would say like maybe like a comparable physical comp is like a Jordan Clarkson. I think Clarkson might be a little taller, but not much, longer. Maybe you could say like an AJ Green, someone like that, right? He's definitely off guard sized. He's August 6th, 2006 birthday, so he's 19 years old. His rookie season will be his age 20 season. He's kind of right in line with this age group. As a freshman, he averaged 15.6 points, 3.8 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 1.5 steals, and 0.2 blocks. Shot 43.5% from the field, 41.6% from three, and 84.3% from the free throw line. Those are pretty solid numbers. Only a 5.9 BPM. That's okay. Not great, not bad. 120 offensive rating is solid. 52.2 effective field goal rate, 55.9. True shooting, those numbers are definitely leave some to be desired. 13.2 assist rate to an 8.2 turnover rate, 2.5 assist turnover. For this archetype, that's really good. He kind of maybe, the turnover rate is low. I think against, better comp, the turnover rate bumped up a little bit and became a little bit concerning. But for this type of player, like 2.5 assist turnover is really good. 0.6 block rate is whatever, but 2.8 steal rate is solid. Only 23.1 free throw rate. He did not get to the line much. Only dunked 3 times, 59% on 117 close twos, 34% on 153 long twos. That's a lot of long twos to not be shooting very efficiently, which is a huge, huge concern. I think the place to start with all these guys is the shooting. Coop, how did you feel about Meleek Thomas as a shooter? Synergy actually says off the dribble, okay. He's fine. He's in the 86th percentile, shooting 40.3% from the field, 51.9% effective field goal percentage. I think the pushback to that is that I thought he was pretty, like, he shot it okay, but I think that effective field goal rate is that, like, he shot well on like off the dribble threes, I thought his process in terms of the shots he took was bad. He took a lot of bad mid-range shots. And then he also took 80 runners and shot 33.8% on him. He just has to cut out the floaters and really the drives in general. The big thing for him is going to be like all of that stuff is fake. He has some moments as a handler that you can clip and be like, oh, look at this. Like, no. If he's going to make it in the league, it is as a pure bomber. And he has to buy into just being a pure bomber. His job is to run off screens and just shoot. And he really can't, like, there are times where it looks so good. There's this one play in particular against Ole Miss where he had, like, I think his best game of the year. He's coming off a screen going towards his left. The pass is in front of him, even though he's kind of like running like back behind the line. And he just catches it and smoothly, quickly releases it. Like his release is super quick, one motion, really natural jump shot mechanics, like pretty good touch on it. I think it really projects well to motion because I think he has good touch. Now, the thing for him is he doesn't jump very high and the release is kind of low. And he's already short. So I don't think it's like super conducive to like contested shot making. This is not someone who's going to catch with someone's hand literally on his hip and just jump and rise over him and still get into it. It's much more of like he has to get good enough at using the screens to get open, but then his release is quick enough that, you know, the close, like he won't get closed down super easy. But I think all the off the dribble stuff, he's pretty much just got to excise. I think the passing is solid in that like he can throw lobs and his touch on lobs shows up and like his eyes are downhill. I think he is the requisite level of passer to run like the DHO stuff, come off wide pin downs and a zoom action. And like just if the read is either I'm going to shoot or if they're stepping up to take me away, I'm just going to throw it to the rotating big and nothing really more complicated than that. I think he's going to be perfectly fine. But I thought the drives were bad. I thought the floaters were bad. I thought even though he shot well on off the dribble jumpers, I thought the process on them was often pretty bad. Like, I just don't really like anything he did off the dribble. And in an ideal world, he's just not doing that stuff at all in the NBA. Would that kind of match when you were at? We'll see if your internet is back working. But is that kind of matching where you're at with your view of his game?
Yeah, I thought he just struggled as like a processor a lot of the time, and his off the dribble game was just really suffer despite like the very obvious natural talent. He's got natural shooting talent. The big problem is what else? He's got some like fun touch. Like he's got enough touch to like be able to get away with doing other stuff, but he's not actually good at it. The only thing that he's like truly good at is taking jumpers, I would like to see him like use that touch on motion stuff more, but like if you put him in the Duncan Robinson, training camp, and just forced him to like, that's your thing, show up and figure out how to do that, I think he could be pretty interesting. There's just not a ton else there for me on either end, really. It's a weird eval.
Let me throw out the good on defense. The good on defense is that I think he like is okay getting through screens, and I actually kind of really like his sense for making plays. I think his steal rate is real. There's a reason that it stayed pretty stagnant versus top 50. It's like, it drops up. Actually, I shouldn't say stagnant. 2.6 to 2.2 is a meaningful drop. I shouldn't say that. But like, I thought he's really like actually has good feel for digs and shooting passing lanes and stuff. He's just so unbelievably weak and also under athletic. The truth is, and I don't want this to go too quick, but like this is just worse Isaiah Evans. If he's just so much a better shooter than Isaiah Evans, then it would overcome it. But like all the ancillary stuff is way worse. He's a way worse athlete. He's a way worse finisher. I would say his overall feel for scoring is worse. He turns the ball over just as much, if not more. Like all that stuff is fairly, it's just like but he's that same type of player, right? In an ideal world, it's really tough because there's just like not a lot of players that play like this that are this small. Again, this is the type of player that's normally bigger. He's much closer like a JJ Redick was, or, if you wanted to say like a Seth Curry, like those guys can have some success, but like I don't know. He's just not, I can't compare him to Malik Monk because Malik Monk is way, way, way more athletic and was also just like better. Like Malik Monk at the same time was just better. And so I don't hate Malik Thomas. Like I think there's like what he does, if he buys into it, could be simple and solid. And, there's always that outlier chance that maybe he is just like one of the best shooters in the world, in which case, it's easy to buy. I'm not sure I buy it to that extent. Like, he's a really good free throw shooter. He has a track record as a good shooter. He was a good shooter in EYBL, and like, but his shot diet is just now getting to be this kind of shot diet. Like, he only took 52 catch and shoot shots in EYBL compared to 120 off the dribble. Like, which in some ways is good. It's good that he bought in a little bit more to bombing off the catch. Like by the end of the year, he was much more playing the role that he will play in the NBA, which is just running off screens and shooting shots like that. Like you can see him doing it, but he's going to get hounded on defense, like hounded. Like, this is a guy who is probably bad enough that he's going to get hunted in the regular season because he's so contact averse. Like he's physically weak and he's so contact averse and he's under athletic. Like, I'm just not really sure, other than meeting that top end shooting threshold, which there is a chance. It's why I'm not out on him. That there's also a lot of just like bust potential here. Like there's a little bit of like Jaden Hardy going on here too, in the worst way. And I was awfully low on Hardy, and I'm fairly low here. Again, there's. I don't know. I'm rambling. Coop, do you have any like other things you want to point to with Meleek before we get into value?
I think Jaden Hardy is the most interesting name to bring up here because Hardy had his like flashes. It's like, he helped the Mavericks like win a playoff game, and then he fell out of the league completely. I don't know. Nothing Meleek like. I love guys who are like have this level of shooting talent. Obviously, like it's super fun to watch. But if you are not going to bring anything else to the table, I don't know. It's really hard. Wings, especially, like he is wing sized. I don't think he doesn't have the body to put on wing weight. He's extremely skinny. He's got skinny wrists. He's skinny ankles. Like he's a very slender guy. I just don't see him like being able to bulk up in the league and then be like, oh, he's got some interesting defensive chops here. And I don't know. I struggle to really find anything that I'm in love with. And even like shooting talent, I've just kind of gotten to a point where I just I don't care if you have the talent. I want you to be good at basketball. The shooting talent should like enable you to be good at basketball. And it doesn't. It just enables him to shoot the ball, if that makes any sense at all. I just really struggle with this kind of player. So, you ready for value? Or
Yeah, I'll go first. I think he's really similar to Cam Carr as a prospect in that they're gadget players. Now, Cam Carr is a slightly more interesting as the gadget because he has the vertical athleticism, but Meleek is younger and I think probably a better shooter. Again, the outlier outcome here is that Meleek Thomas is like actually like Buddy Hield, and he has like a 15-year career because he's that good of a shooter. And I don't want to write that off because I do really like the mechanics. I really like the touch. I really like his fluidity and his ability to get into him. Like those things all combined to be like, yeah, he could be that top end level of shooter. That would be great. I think he's a worse athlete than basically all the guys who have succeeded in this type of mold, though. Which is a huge concern. Like he's just so under athletic and so small compared. Like it's a really narrow pathway. Buddy Hield for like as good of a shooter as he is, he dunked like 25 times his senior year at Oklahoma. And I like Meleek, and I think Meleek would have had a very good college career if he stayed for 4 years like Buddy Hield did. He was never dunking 25 times. So again, that path is narrow, but it exists. I actually do think I would draft him on a full contract because he's so young and because shooting is so valuable. I think he also, it's really easy for me to project him making shots at NBA range. Like I think his mechanics project well to add range, especially as he gets a little bit stronger. I think the thing is this guy could achieve his top end outcomes. He could be one of the best shooters in the world. and like still not be very valuable to actually help you win. Like, so he's at the he's at the bottom of that tier. He's below Nate Ament. He's below Joshua Jefferson and Coop for me. Like, there's something there. And again, like at a certain point, there's only so many guys with any type of youth to draft. And I'd rather draft someone with some youth and some upside than someone who's old and not good, but just like physically talented or whatever. Like, he's way preferable to me to someone like a Trayvon Brazile, right? Or a Keyshawn Hall or a Nick Martinelli or however you want to word it. It's like, even though those guys are maybe more physically talented, like I'm just going to bet on Meleek over those guys because there's a little bit of just kind of feel and like understanding of how to play. He can move from action to action. He can make some plays on both ends. Like, he meets kind of the requisite levels, and though he's not a robot, he's able to play basketball, which is a nice combination with the shooting. But I also think the upside here is fairly limited. Is that kind of accurate? Am I even higher than you, Coop?
Yeah. I just like Buddy Hield was like so dominant in college and just like he can't defend. He doesn't really get to the rim. There's so many things he just like doesn't do in the NBA that like I think Meleek, obviously he's way younger than Buddy was, but I just really struggle with these kinds of guys, and just philosophically I think I've gotten away from pure talent swings, and honestly I would rather take the bet on like an older guy who I like think there's a chance they're fine, like Joshua Jefferson. Who it's like, I actually think Joshua Jefferson can, the chance with him is, can he actually contribute to winning basketball? And there's a chance he can. I think Meleek, even at his best, you're asking, is this guy even like contributing to winning basketball games? We've seen like Colin Sexton, like better versions of, who can actually dribble and get into the lane of Malik Thomas. These like scoring two guards are so undervalued in the league right now, and maybe the shooting is so outlier. And if he like wasn't like a truly like talented shooter, not like one of these like fake talent shooters, I would be fully out on him. But he is talented, he is young. There's only so far you can let that guy fall. But I like him more than Sanak. But I have him as a two-way swing. You want to get late in the second round.
Yep, I think that's all fair. Let's move on to Richie Saunders. Saunders is a really interesting guy in some ways, and that I felt like he was kind of like he was getting more and more buzz, and then he tears his ACL in February, halfway through February. So he probably will not be available for the first half of his rookie season, which is too bad. And my expectation would be that he is not really an effective player for the whole rookie season. That's probably going to tamp his value down. And it does matter because he's also old as hell. He's a September 19th, 2001 birthday. He's 24. His rookie season will be his age 25 season. He is older than me, Coop. He is older than me
He's older than me by a month.
So he's older than me by 6 months, I think, 7 months, something like that. My math's not very good, but he's old. Now, he had an okay combine, 6'5", 6'8 3/4. This is a more wingy size two guard. I still think he's a two, like, 6'6" would be kind of on the smaller end for smalls. Though there's a little bit of like physically some Max Strus here. Now, he's not quite as broad as Strus, but you kind of wonder, right? Like, but not more of a two guard type size guy. In the games he played this year, he averaged 18 points, 5.8 rebounds, 2.1 assists, 1.7 steals, and 0.3 blocks, 48.9% field goal percentage, 37.6 3-point percentage, 81.7 free throw percentage, had a really good 9 BPM. The year before, he was better. I mean, he was just kind of better the year before, 9.7 BPM. This year, 23.8 usage, 59.3 effective field goal rate, 63.2 true shooting, 6.7 offensive rebound rate, 13.5 defensive rebound rate, 12.2 assist rate to a 12.4 turnover rate. It's a 1.3 assist turnover. For what it's worth, like his assist turnover has always been slightly positive, and then his sophomore year it was very positive. his role has changed. He's kind of really bought into being more of like an off-ball bomber type. 1.3 assists to turnover, I said already. 1 block rate, 3.1 steal rate this year. The year before it was a 1.6 block rate and a 2.5 steal rate. 35.7 free throw rate this year. Dunked 6 times. Shot 69.4% on 98 close twos. Has always been a really good interior finisher despite the, truthfully, despite the look. Like, he's a blonde white guy, like, who isn't like a crazy athlete by any means. He finishes really well. He doesn't shoot very many long twos, but he shoots well on him, and shoots well from the free throw line. This year is at 12.3, 3 points per 100. Again, only 37.6%. I think the place I actually want to start, I want to start with the shooting. I don't think this is the same type of shooter as these other two guys. This is not like a movement guy, like, true like bomber. This isn't Sam Merrill, who he's going to get compared to because he's also a white Mormon who played college basketball in Utah. He's not Duncan Robinson or whoever. He is much more of like a true 3-and-D guy, in my opinion, in that he is a good shooter, but not like this crazy movement shooter. His mechanics are kind of weird. He jumps super high. It's like a 2-motion shot. It's very, Tracy McGrady-esque in terms of like how he gets it, but instead of the ball being kind of more on the side, it's kind of right on his forehead. They look clean enough, but I would not say this is like some crazy touch guy or anything. The free throw numbers are only okay. They're not absurd. But he is just kind of like an overall solid offensive player that he can cut. He like posts up quite a bit. He's really physically tough. And I think this is a pretty good defensive player too for this archetype, in that he basically had to play the 4 this year because they were just trying to hide AJ DeBonsta on whoever the other team's worst player was. And so that was generally not like a 4. So like he was guarding Bryce and Tiller in the post when they played Kansas. He was guarding Tunde Yasufu a lot. Like, he's not the quickest lateral athlete, but he's solid. His mix of lateral athleticism and strength is a really positive for him defensively. So I just think this is kind of like your commensurate 3-and-D off guard. And again, I didn't say that name for no reason. He's closer like a Max Strus than he is like those true movement shooter, bomber type guys. Does that all feel accurate to you, Coop? And then where do you just kind of want to, I kind of threw a lot out there, which is like every part of his game, but like, where do you want to start in terms of the breakdown?
I think for Richie, I think that the sell to like the broader community is that he's this crazy shooter who has like a long track record, 38.3%, 522 career attempts, 79.2% on 317 total free throws over his career. Like, it's a guy who can, like, he's good, but like you said, he's not, this true bomber. I think the interesting stuff is, he just knows how to move. He knows where to be. He knows how to play. There's so many like white guy isms I can throw out about Richie Saunders before my head wants to explode. But like, it's just kind of the truth. He does a lot of like really solid role player things for you. He can, I think we joke about the fact that he can't handle, and he like can't in like a real NBA way, but he can like, he's not a big man who like, he's not even like as bad as like a Demon, I feel like, with the ball in his hands, right? Where he can just kind of move a little bit with it. And he's kind of interesting, but like he does enough for a role player, right? That's kind of the point I'm trying to get to. He does enough defensively to be like a role player. He shoots the ball and he plays an efficient style of basketball. And he's not as like aggressive as like a Christian Brown, but you can kind of see him playing that like just kind of know where to be on the floor, fill lanes, stay on the perimeter. Brown wasn't this incredible shooter, but he was just like, you see a white guy who shoots and you're like, oh, that guy's like an elite shooter. But Brown, the thing with him is he does so much more than that. And the shooting kind of allows him to stay on the floor and fill in the gaps for teams, for them. And I think that's kind of the sell here for Saunders as well.
Yeah, I actually think Brown is a great white guy to white guy comp, and that Brown did shoot well as a junior the year before he left. But yeah, it was not actually a great shooter. I think Saunders is better, but I would not expect Saunders to be like one of the best shooters in the world. I don't think that's the case. I think he's going to be a reasonable shooter. I think he's going to be a reasonable defender. I think guard point of attack, I think he's really good at help. I think his toughness and communication are both really good. Not like athletic enough to make an impact at the rim. He's entirely a 1 foot leaper and mostly a 1 foot athlete in terms of he wants to drive to his right off his left leg. He can drive left, but he's not really going to explode off that right leg ever. The handle, like you said, is really simple. The decision making is simple. I wish he was a better passer. If he was a better passer, I'd probably really buy him. With him being a fairly mediocre passer, I'm kind of concerned, especially like I wish it popped more in transition, and it really doesn't. He's definitely like an off-ball scorer type. He can do some cutting. I wouldn't say he's an elite off-ball mover or cutter. What I'm ending at is that I probably would like him quite a bit, but I am, and we don't normally bring this up, Coop, but I am concerned about the injury. He will not really have a full, true rookie season until he's 26 years old. Now, he tore his right ACL, which is a benefit in that his left leg is his more athletic leg. But the timelines are short in the NBA, especially when you're old. And when he's not truly special at anything, I just don't know. Again, I think he's really tough. I think like if he wasn't hurt and he was a little bit younger, he'd probably be bordering on my first round tier. Probably not quite first rounder, but I could see it, right? Like I do think the defense is legitimately pretty solid. And that does intrigue me, like especially like the versatility defensively. Again, he can't be a low man, but he can do nail stuff and he can guard on the ball. His closeouts are solid. He's physical enough to kind of hang with guys trying to go through him or post him up or whatever. Like I thought all that was really good. If you're a plus defender who's wing sized and then makes shots and has a good assist to turnover, like that is just kind of a guy. And I want to buy all of that, but the fact that he's so old and that his rookie season is going to be that late is a huge concern. So how much does that factor in for you, Coop, in terms of your value on Saunders and how you think it might affect who he is at the next level?
I think that as an evaluator, I kind of want to it's not something I want to think about, but it is something that we do really have to sit here with, right? Especially with something this serious. This isn't like Quaintance where it's like, oh, well, his leg was all messed up and like we're kind of just speculating. It's like, no, he actually just like jacked his leg and like we know how long this takes. We know the recovery. We know what happened. And it will play like a key role in his recovery. And I do worry that if like the wrong team drafts him and brings him in, and then after his recovery comes in and he has like kind of a down year and he kind of like shoots like 32% from three and he doesn't get guarded super hard. And, somebody just brings him in to be this elite shooter and he doesn't do that. He could just be out of the league, right? Like immediately. It should be really tough. I think that the timing on that injury is just really awful. Especially for a guy who does, in my opinion, have the talent to play in the NBA. The NBA does just desperately need guys who are 6'7" and know how to play basketball, right? This is, in theory, the perfect like role player to come off of your bench and kind of fill minutes and not lose you basketball games. But when it's a very serious injury and a very serious timeline. I don't know. I really hope that either it leads to him like going later in the second to a team that really values him, or it lets him go to undrafted free agency where he gets to decide his home. And he doesn't kind of just get, EJ Liddell'd, right? Where he's just kind of out of the league now for 2 years until he plays well enough in the G League to earn that spot that he should have had from his college career.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely a fair way to put it. Now, the thing that is, I do think in Saunders' favor is that this is a really coveted role still. I mean, how many teams would say that they need, and I know this is an overused term, but it was overused because it was misattributed. I think that Saunders is actually like a real 3-and-D guy, and that he can actually shoot, he can actually defend, and he can kind of like he can exist offensively outside of his shooting. Like, is he going to be some elite DHO? No, but I think he can make a decision. Like, is he an elite transition passer? No, but he can run the floor and then throw an entry pass. Like, he can do some things. You know, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that he is the level, like a better version of Benedict Mathurin, or, you know, you mentioned Christian Brown, like a better shooter, but maybe slightly worse on ball defender than a guy like that. You know, a Quentin Grimes comes to mind, an Isaiah Joe comes to mind. Like, I think he's maybe variable on like the level of shooter as compared to those guys, but, you know, like if he's in that realm of guy where he's like the 22nd to 35th best shooting guard in the NBA, I do think teams might have patience for that. And so I don't want to overrate the injury, but I do think it does, like you said it perfectly, it does matter to me more than like the nebulous, like, well, he has injury concerns. Like, no, he actually currently has a torn ACL. Well, it's probably not currently torn. I'm sure he had surgery, but, you know. So anyways, I have him in I think I would give him a full contract in the second round, because I think the bet is valuable enough to have him locked up for, you know, a couple of years on a contract and just see. Right now he's 27 on my board. He's 28 on my board, behind like Joshua Jefferson, Koa Pete, Cam Carr, Henry Vassar, but above like Nate Ament and the guy we were just talking about, Meleek Thomas. Coop, where are you at with him?
I have him at 25 on my board, just below Josh Jefferson in my real contract tier. I think everything you said is true. Like, this is like the perfect playoff bench player, right? And I think he could, like, there's upside for him to potentially start on the right team. And I do think that this is like a really valuable player, even if the shot isn't at the level people want it to be. And he just knows how to play. And I do really hope that he gets that shot, because he deserves it. He's worked his butt off, and, you know, I want to see guys like that succeed.
Absolutely. All right, Coop, let's move on to the guy everyone's been waiting for. Let's talk about Emanuel Sharp. Sharp, you know, they can't measure heart at the combine, Coop, so, you know, it really doesn't matter. But for what it's worth, Sharp, 6'2 3/4, so, you know, 6'3", you could maybe say 6'4" in shoes. 6'3" wingspan is not very good. He is an undersized two guard. Like, he is completely undersized. Now, he is physically strong. He's well built. He's a March 7, 2004 birthday. He's 22 years old. His rookie season will be his age 22 season. He's played 4 years at Houston. Has started the majority of the games throughout his career. As a freshman, he came out the bench, but the last 3 years, he started pretty much every game. This year, he averaged 15.5 points, 3 rebounds, 1.7 assists, 1.2 steals, 0.1 blocks on 41.3, 37.2, 89.1 shooting splits. He's a career, we were just talking about this, he's a career 87.1 free throw shooter, and that is good for like 52nd all time. And of guys we've talked about in recent memory, like very, very high. You know, so for whatever that's worth, I think there's something there. He is had a 52.7 effective field goal percentage this year, but a 58.2 true shooting. Has, you know, consistently been a good BPM guy. You know, 3% offense rebound rate, 8.6 defense rebound rate. Neither of those numbers are very good. 23.2 usage is fine. He's never been crazy high usage, always in the, you know, low 20s. 11.1 assist rate to an 8.8 turnover rate to 1.8 assist to turnover. His assist to turnover rate has gotten better every year, and then it's gone 0.8 to 1 to 1.8, but it's never been good. 0.4 block rate, 2.5 steal rate, not great. The steal rate's been higher in the past. This was a worse defensive context, I would say, for him. 32.4 free throw rate this year. He dunked 3 times, shot 66.7 on only 54 close twos. He doesn't really get to the rim much. 111 long twos, shooting 38.7%. But again, that free throw number is good on okay volume. He shot 14.8 3-point attempts per 100, shooting 37.2%. The year before, he was at 13.6 per 100, shooting 40.7%. The year before, 13.3, 36.8%. Again, I'll start with the shooting. I mean, this is the guy with the weirdest, you know, mechanics of any of these dudes. You know, that's not this is not new information. Like he always has had this weird bring the ball around his body and flick it, over his side, over the side of his face. Like it's always been weird mechanics for him. But his job has always been to shoot, and he's always done that admirably. What I do like about the mechanics of it, for what it's worth, are the energy transfer is good. He gets his feet set really fast, and while it's weird where the ball comes from, like he does jump high enough that it's not a crazy low release. And he has a pretty good touch on it, like a pretty good feel for getting oriented to the rim. I think he's a good shooter, not a great shooter. I would not expect him to be like crazy elite as a shooter. For what it's worth, like this year, 75th percentile in catch and shoot situations, better unguarded than guarded, but took way more guarded. And then was not a particularly good off the dribble shooter, only in the 56th percentile, which is okay, but like not outstanding. The year before, 87th percentile off the dribble, 83rd percentile catch and shoot. He was better. That was a better team. The year before that, 87th percentile catch and shoot, only 15th percentile off the dribble. I think the off the dribble jump shooting is going to be kind of pretty bad. Like he's not really much of a creator. I think he's going to make off the catch shots at a reasonable rate, but not an elite rate. I think the question will be, how much the other stuff buoys that. Like, I think he's a good enough shooter to be on the floor if the other stuff is good enough, and even for that to be his main skill offensively. But is the other stuff good enough to make it to where his good but not great shooting is enough in other ways? Coop, I'll let you take it away wherever you want to go. I know this is your guy, so walk us through, what he does on the court that's so effective.
Emanuel Sharp, the epitome of toughness. I think this guy is a motherfucker. He will on defense. I mean, he's just a pest. Like this guy, he's buff. He's like quick. He's like pretty agile laterally. He's really good on ball. He's like really annoying when he's able to get into your body. He executes scheme pretty well. He's a good closeout guy. Stuck with the program all 4 years. That takes a lot. He's become a lot more functionally athletic. He didn't take like the Marcus Sasser finishing leap this last season that I wanted him to take, but he did just get better year over year. He added value with the shooting, and then he found other ways to contribute, especially because like as a freshman, he was an actively pretty bad defender, right? You've seen a lot of growth there where it's just like he was so committed to being better. I think of the Texas Tech game, I think it was last year, he gets like really messes up his ankle, and he basically refuses to come off the floor and is like still, we lose the game. You could tell I'm a Cougs fan if you're new to the program, but Cougs lose the game because E-Man is hobbled, but he is still putting up a fight at the point of attack. Texas Tech is picking on him every single chance they get, and he is like putting up a fight, actively fighting through screens, staying glued to guys' hips. He's just a half step slow, and that's the difference between winning and losing a game. But this is a guy who wants to win. He wants to play hard. He is tough. He shoots the ball really well, and was a really key contributor on a historically good Cougs team that came just short of winning the national championship last season, right? You'd argue he's the third best player on that team. I think there's an argument for second, depending on what you think of LJ Cryer, but like just a super key guy on like 4 good teams. I think all 4 of these teams were like top 2 or 3 seeds in the NCAA tournament. I could be crazy there, but I don't think that there's like a crazy drop off year. 2 seed this year. They were a 1 seed last year. They were a 1 seed the year before, and then a 1 seed the year before that. So almost all 1 seeds, and then a 2 seed this year. When there was an argument, they could have been a 1 seed over Florida because Florida got, destroyed by Iowa. But we don't have to talk about that. I'm not bitter. I just think that like guys who contribute this much to winning shoot the ball at a high level. I do think that the shooting is far better than the numbers make it look. he takes them from NBA range consistently. I think he takes the deepest threes of anyone that we've watched, at least in this class, just like consistently bombing from NBA range. I can't even think of who else would like consistently be taking them from that deep. But if there was an average shot depth number, I think his would be some of the furthest in college ball. I think the jump to the NBA is going to be pretty easy for him as a shooter. And, athletically, I think he'll be able to keep up pretty decently well. Even if he's small, we've seen that these smaller, stouter point of attack defenders can really be like, could he be like a major bother on Jalen Brunson? I think so. I think he could like really put his body into him and like not bully him, but not be bullied by Jalen Brunson, right? I'm like really rambling, but I love Emmanuel Sharp. I've seen almost every single game he's played. He's very talented, and I hope he makes it in the league. Bryce, what do you like about him?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the first thing is I think he's a really good point of attack defender. I thought his screen nav is good, even though like what he's being asked to do at the point of attack is not what he'll be asked to do at the point of attack in the NBA because Houston mostly blitzes and crazy hard hedges or even sometimes just traps ball screens. But I think he has an ability to get through them. His for someone as strong as he is, he has the requisite amount of flexibility, I think, to get through screens and stick on a hip. He executes scheme really well. I think what I like about his defense has its ups and downs because he's so like when he's not at the point of attack, he is kind of a question. Like he's really good if he just has to stick on someone, and then he can like every once in a while just make a break on a ball for a steal. But his low man rotations are not great. I thought of like the main Houston guards that have come through in the past few years, he's the worst in terms of his consistency as on tagging that role. Because they're always blitzing that top screen, and so Houston generally brings the weak side guy strong all the way over to sandwich the role. And I thought he was fairly mediocre at that, if not outright bad. Like he just is not very consistent. Now he makes some good rotations. He does, especially at the nail, but for the most part, I think he's fairly limited. I think like the tough thing is a point guard defensively who's not a point guard offensively, which can have places it fits, but he's even less of a point guard than someone like a Deuce McBride who we liked, or someone like Patrick Beverly, whoever you want to point to, because he's so like he's not even like the type of ball handler who brings the ball up the floor. He's a pretty bad ball handler. He's got to be like offensively, he's going to be really limited. He's got to be a complete bomber. Now his volume and consistency as a shooter really helps with that. He takes it from super deep. Could he be like a Landry Shamet level shooter? Maybe. And if he gets to that level, like the point of attack defense is going to be enough. The tough thing is he's so reliant on the shot. If the shot is anywhere below that level, then he's just not an NBA player. Like that's just the truth. There's not enough other carrying skills offensively. But I do think the defense is good and potentially really good. Like guys who can just blow up point of attack actions, for 10 minutes a game are super valuable. Like Jose Alvarado is probably going to get a ring this year as a backup point guard because he's willing to pick up full court and he can just every once in a while just completely blow up a point of attack action. Now, Jose Alvarado is a little bit better as like an overall defensive playmaker. I honestly can't remember what like his steal rates were in college, but let's see. Yeah, he was like in the, his senior year, he had a 4.5 steal rate. Like, I don't think Emanuel is that level of event creator, but he's just really solid and strong. He could probably, the nice thing about him as compared to someone like an Alvarado is he could guard up probably a little bit more, like with his strength. Now he's small, so like shot creating like off the dribble guards or big like wings are going to bother him, but like guys who kind of want to maybe get downhill more, he can at least kind of put up an effort. Basically what I'm saying is I love this guy's toughness and I want him to succeed so bad, and I do feel a little bit like I'm trying to construct reasons he might succeed, but for what it's worth, like NBA teams don't always think that differently. Like they might, if they just really love a person, they might try to construct ways he can succeed too and see. And so if that all clicks, like then I think there's a chance. I don't know how high I can get on him. Like I love him at like watching him. Like I wanted to put him like as a for sure contract guy. He's at least borderline full contract versus two-way. Do you want to try to talk me up before I say that he's at the top of my two-way tier, Coop?
Toughness, defense, grit wins championships, and there's not very many bench players that actually are this gritty, especially at the point of attack. I do think like strict defensive positioning matters less when you're this strong and when you're like probably a bench player. But I do think that he could be like sixth, seventh, eighth man in a rotation level. I just guys just don't. There's not that many guys that shoot this well who come out and then can also defend. Like maybe he's not great, maybe he's not. He's no Milos Uzan on defense, right? Like if your fifth best defender is Emanuel Sharp level, if your fourth best defender is Emanuel Sharp level, got a pretty good defensive lineup going on, especially off the bench. Especially like there's so many teams that can just afford to get guys to play this position and just like, okay, well, I know you don't really dribble, but we have somebody else who can do that anyways. And, even if we like Emmanuel Sharp with like a DHO running team, oh my God, like imagine him on the Heat. If Emmanuel Sharp goes to the Heat, I think the NBA is just fucked, right? Like there's just guys like that. And I think the toughness really matters as a complementary skill set for what he does. I'm going to have him probably above. I don't know. I don't know if I want him above or below Braden Smith in my first round tier. I just think that like truly tough guys who can shoot this well are super rare. Probably taken below Braden Smith to hedge against my bias against short people. 23 on my board.
So you, but Emmanuel Sharp is also a short person.
He's as tall as I am, and so I can't say that he's short. We're like actually exactly the same height in no shoes. So,
wow,
yeah,
yeah, just like Braden Smith and I have exactly the same standing reach, even though I'm 3 inches taller than Braden Smith. That's tough. I'm gonna say I would draft Emmanuel Sharp with a full contract, not because of I'm like necessarily convinced that he's so much more likely to be an NBA player, but just that sometimes the draft, like you gotta be, especially late, like you gotta be willing to just fall in love sometimes. And like I just love Emmanuel Sharp, and I love his toughness, and I love how he wins. Like you said, almost going 4 for 4 in his years as a college basketball player on 1 seeds on Houston. This is not Duke. This is not like Houston, where he was on really the first truly great Kelvin Sampson Houston team, and almost won a championship. Like I just think just a really a winner, and I do think there is some value to that. Is 30 too high? Like I prefer Malik Thomas to him a little bit. Nate Amen I would have to take above him. Like I know. But at a certain point, like I do just think you gotta trust your like gut and also like sometimes basketball is about choosing who you like. If I was an NBA team, like I think there's plenty of arguments for in the tier below. I have like a Zuby Ejiofor, Chris Sinak, Baba Miller, Christian Anderson, Bruce Thornton, Trayvon Brazile. Those are like my draftable two-way guys. Is there a strong argument for any one of those guys over Emmanuel Sharp? Yes, but I'm just like you gotta pick who you like. Would I rather take like an elite mid-range scorer, who's physically strong but actually hasn't shown much point of attack defense in Bruce Thornton, or would I rather just bet on someone who I really buy as a point of attack defender who's going to make enough shots? Like, I guess I'll take the toughness, I'll take the grit, and I'll hope that Sharp will find a way to provide value despite all the many myriad of things in his way to prevent him from providing any NBA value. So I'm hopeful. I'm fully willing to admit I'm probably too high, but you did a good job convincing me. So any other thing you want to say on any of these shooting guards?
I hope we get more shooting guards in the league. Bring back shooting guards. I miss complaining about shooting guards. It's not fun when the NBA like agrees with me It's more fun to complain about it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And also, we're missing out on all the good ones because they don't like the bad
where's
ones.
Gerald Green when you need him?
Yeah,
So,
probably playing in the G League at the ripe old age of 45. So,
shout out Gerald Green, man. All right, this is awesome. This is our probably third to last scouting pod as you guys are listening. I'm guessing this will actually come out after the mock draft. We're recording it before the mock draft, but this has been awesome. Give us a like, rating, review, all that fun stuff. If you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think. This has been the Upside Swings NBA Draft Podcast. We hope we are stealing. Thank you.